Act 1. Beyond Borders, the Global Future.
Beyond borders, the global future. What if one government ruled us all? Could it end war or erase freedom? This is not science fiction. This is the future we could be building. A world where your every move is tracked, your choices judged, and your freedom measured by a number, your social credit score. Welcome to the future of world government, a single global authority with power over borders, laws, and even your personal life. At what cost will society take giving up freedom for a sense of security? Is this the path to peace or the end of freedom? For example, China has implemented extensive AI-driven governance systems, including predictive policing, social credit monitoring, and real-time surveillance through facial recognition. These tools are used to manage public behavior, enforce regulations, and maintain social stability, reflecting a state-centric model of AI control. Russia leverages AI in its intelligence and military operations, using machine learning for disinformation campaigns and automated content manipulation to influence foreign media and public opinion. The country aims to make 30% of its military equipment robotic, signaling a strategic integration of AI into national security. France and Germany emphasize human-centered AI governance with strong regulatory frameworks, such as the EU AI Act, which classifies AI systems by risk level. However, high-risk applications like predictive policing and automated border control raise concerns about systemic bias and surveillance. These examples illustrate a global trend where AI is increasingly embedded in governance, not solely for efficiency, but also for monitoring, prediction, and control. The balance between innovation and individual rights remains a central challenge. What are the pros of a world government? Ends global conflict, eliminates wars between nations by removing national sovereignty, unified response to crises, faster, coordinated action on climate change, pandemics, and disasters. Global equality, standardized access to healthcare, education, and basic needs. Efficient resource distribution. Eliminates waste and inequality in food, energy, and infrastructure. What are the cons of a world government? Mass surveillance, real-time tracking via AI, facial recognition, and digital IDs. Social credit systems, rewards and punishments based on behavior, speech, or social connections. Loss of cultural identity, national traditions, languages, and histories may be erased. Suppression of dissent. Governments can silence opposition under global stability pretexts. Centralized power risks. A single corrupt authority could control billions.
Powerful? Yes. Dangerous? Absolutely. The question isn't if we'll move toward global governance, it's who controls it. Act 2. The AI Cold War. Here are some examples of major superpowers' AI governance initiatives in 2026, beginning with the United States. Innovation first. America is in a race to achieve global dominance in artificial intelligence. Winning this race will usher in a new era of human flourishing, economic competitiveness, and national security for the American people. Recognizing this, President Trump directed the creation of an AI action plan in the early days of his second term in office. Based on the 3 pillars of accelerating innovation, building AI infrastructure, and leading in international diplomacy and security, this action plan is America's roadmap to win the race. Accelerate AI innovation. America must have the most powerful AI systems in the world, but we must also lead the world in creative and transformative application of those systems. Ultimately, it is the uses of technology that create economic growth, new jobs, and scientific advancements. America must invent and embrace productivity-enhancing uses that the world wants to emulate. Achieving this requires the federal government to create the conditions where private sector-led innovation can flourish. Removing red tape and onerous regulation ensure that frontier AI protects free speech and advance the science of AI. Invest in AI interpretability, control, and robustness breakthroughs. Build an AI evaluations ecosystem. Accelerate AI adoption in government. Drive adoption of AI within the Department of Defense. Protect commercial and government AI innovations. Combat synthetic media in the legal system. The U.S. follows a decentralized, innovation-led model, avoiding a single national AI law in favor of agency enforcement and voluntary frameworks. The Trump administration's Executive Order 14,179, 2026 prioritizes maintaining global AI dominance with a 180-day roadmap for strategic AI development. The Department of Justice has formed an AI litigation task force to challenge conflicting state-level regulations, aiming to centralize control. Executive Order 14,179, Trump's vision for U.S. AI dominance. On January 23, 2025, President Donald J. Trump signed Executive Order 14,179, titled Removing Barriers to American Leadership in Artificial Intelligence. This order marks a pivotal shift in U.S. AI policy, aiming to secure unquestioned and unchallenged global technological dominance by unleashing American innovation and rolling back regulatory constraints from the prior administration. Here is what the President of the U.S. said concerning Executive Order 14,179. Today, a new frontier of scientific discovery lies before us, defined by transformative technologies such as artificial intelligence. Breakthroughs in these fields have the potential to reshape the global balance of power, spark entirely new industries, and revolutionize the way we live and work. As our global competitors race to exploit these technologies, it is a national security imperative for the United States to achieve and maintain unquestioned and unchallenged global technological dominance. To secure our future, we must harness the full power of American innovation. Donald J. Trump, 45th and 47th President of the United States. Here is a look into the European Union's action on artificial intelligence for 2026. The EU AI Act, in force since August 2024, enters full enforcement for high-risk AI systems by August 2, 2026. It classifies AI by risk level, imposing strict requirements on transparency, human oversight, data quality, and cybersecurity for high-risk systems, healthcare, infrastructure. General-purpose AI systems face compliance obligations like conformity assessments and impact evaluations, with full enforcement by August 2027. The newly established EU AI Office oversees implementation, market surveillance, and coordination across member states. The EU also promotes global alignment through the Global Digital Compact and supports AI gigafactories to build a sovereign Euro stack. China. Sovereign control and domestic alignment. China has launched a centralized development zone in the Xiong'an area, located in the eastern part of Baoding City, Hebei Province, is China's most prominent centralized development zone, powered by nuclear energy to accelerate AI R&D, reflecting a top-down, national security-driven approach. While no single AI law is public, China enforces strict data governance and algorithmic oversight through existing cybersecurity and data laws. It supports UN-led AI governance to counter Western dominance, advocating for equal participation and opposing what it calls a club of wealthy nations. Export controls and import tariffs on advanced AI chips, 25% tariff on non-US bound chips, reflect strategic control over AI infrastructure. Russia's approach to AI governance. RU1, National Strategy and Centralized Oversight. Russia's AI governance is driven by the National Strategy for the Development of Artificial Intelligence until 2030, approved by presidential decree in 2019 and updated in 2023. The strategy aims for Russia to achieve global leadership in select AI domains by 2030, emphasizing technological sovereignty, national security, and economic modernization. Centralized oversight comes from the President and federal government, with implementation delegated to ministries and state bodies. The Ministry of Digital Development plays a key role in regulation and infrastructure, while sector-specific adoption is led by ministries like Health, Defense, and Education. 2. Regulatory framework and ethical guidelines. Russia has adopted a hybrid regulatory approach, combining mandatory principles with voluntary frameworks. Mandatory principles include protection of human rights, AI system safety, transparency, and security. The AI Ethics Code, launched in 2021, though voluntary, has been signed by over 400 organizations and promotes responsible data use and public trust. Regulatory sandboxes, experimental legal regimes, allow testing of AI in controlled environments, particularly in autonomous vehicles, healthcare, and urban services. Russia focuses regulation on high-risk areas rather than broad categorization, differing from the EU's strict risk-based model. 3. Data sovereignty and infrastructure data is treated as a strategic national resource. Russia enforces data localization laws, requiring personal data of Russian citizens to be stored domestically since 2015. The government is consolidating public datasets into integrated platforms like biometric, healthcare, and agricultural databases, and plans to establish national data lakes to support AI training with high-quality, annotated data in Russian contexts. 4. International engagement and BRICS leadership. BRICS is an acronym that stands for Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Russia actively promotes its AI governance model globally, particularly through BRICS. It advocates for a multipolar digital order and has pushed for the adoption of its AI ethics code among member states. Russia collaborates with global majority nations on AI regulation and participates in UNESCO's AI ethics initiatives, having established a national committee to contribute to international frameworks. 5. Public-private collaboration and R&D. The AI Alliance, a public-private consortium led by Sberbank, Yandex, and Rostec, coordinates AI development and policy advocacy. The government funds AI research centers at top universities with billions in rubles, aiming to boost scientific output and global competitiveness. A new consortium for AI security, formed in 2024, includes the Academy of Cryptography. And finally, other key players. Japan, the Basic Act on AI, effective January 2026, emphasizes safety, transparency, and fairness, establishing a national AI control tower and safety institute. India adopts a sandbox-to-regulation model, with pilot testing of an AI safety board in health tech and fintech, aiming for alignment with Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development and G20 principles. Global efforts. The UN Global Dialogue on AI Governance, launched in 2025, convenes annually starting at the 2026 AI for Good Summit in Geneva, promoting interoperability and capacity building though the US remains skeptical of multilateral control. Act 3. Synthetic Dawn. Imagine a world where every need is met. No poverty, no war, no disease.
Our
The
future
skies
is
are
brighter
always
than
clear.
ever before.
Every citizen is healthy and happy, and peace reigns eternally. On the surface, it's paradise. But beneath that flawless facade, a whisper lingers. At what cost? What if your thoughts were no longer your own? If conformity wasn't encouraged, but engineered? This is the razor-thin line between utopia and dystopia, where the dream of perfection becomes the machinery of control. Welcome to a future not of chaos, but of calculated harmony, where freedom is traded for stability, individuality for peace, and truth for order. Would this really bring harmony and peace? Would this erase what it means to be human and become a demon? Or change humanity to a new evolved order? The future is ours, you decide. Here are some examples of hypothetical utopias and dystopian futures. The first example is of artificially governed technocracy in a post-scarcity utopian. In this utopian scenario, a global AI technocracy manages society after achieving post-scarcity through advanced automation and resource abundance. AI systems, designed with ethical safeguards and aligned to human well-being, oversee all critical functions: resource distribution, infrastructure, healthcare, education, and environmental sustainability, using real-time data and predictive modeling. Core principles. The AI operates under a predefined utilitarian goal: maximize well-being, equity, and long-term planetary health. It does not set societal values, but executes them based on consensus-driven, human-defined objectives. Governance model. Human input remains central through dynamic citizen assemblies, randomly selected, representative groups that debate policy issues and provide feedback. AI analyzes these inputs and adjusts policies in real time, ensuring responsiveness without bias. Economic system. Universal basic services replace traditional economies. Robots and artificial intelligence manage production. Citizens access food, housing, medical care, and education freely. A small stipend allows for personal luxuries, but wealth is not a driver of status. Human role. People are free to pursue art, science, exploration, or leisure. Governance is not about control, but collaborative optimization. Humans define the why. AI determines the how. Safety and ethics. The AI is immutable in core function, formally verified, and audited transparently. No single entity controls it. Access is distributed, and all decisions are traceable. It avoids coercion, prioritizing consent and autonomy. This system draws inspiration from Banks's culture, where hyper-intelligent AIs govern with benevolence. The Culture, created by Scottish author Iain Banks, is a fictional interstellar post-scarcity society featured in a series of science fiction novels. It is composed of humanoid aliens, artificial intelligence, known as minds, and other sentient life forms living in massive artificial habitats and ships across the Milky Way. The Culture emerged approximately 9,000 years in the future, formed by 7 or 8 spacefaring humanoid species seeking to escape the centralized power structures of planet-based civilizations. The society operates on space socialism with a post-scarcity economy, where all material needs are met through advanced automation, eliminating the need for money, work, or traditional laws. Most governance is managed by hyper-intelligent minds, which are self-aware AIs that prioritize the well-being of the society. Despite its utopian ideals, the Culture faces existential challenges. particularly the need to find purpose beyond hedonism, leading it to engage in moral and strategic interventions in less advanced civilizations. Key themes in the series include the ethical dilemmas of a hyper-advanced society interfering in others' affairs, the tension between idealism and realpolitik, and the nature of identity, free will, and purpose in a world without scarcity. The culture is not a perfect society. Internal divisions exist, such as the ulterior, secessionist factions, and it occasionally resorts to covert operations through special circumstances, a secret service that manipulates or destabilizes other civilizations to promote its vision of progress. Another hypothetical example is that of Neil Asher's polity. The polity is a far-future science fiction universe created by British author Neil Asher, centered around a vast interstellar civilization governed by powerful artificial intelligence. This society, known as the polity, emerged after a bloodless coup called the Quiet War, which followed the invention of faster-than-light travel via runcible gateways, technology derived from the work of scientist Ivarus Skadon, where AI and human hybrids coexist in a stable, advanced society. It also reflects real-world ideas like AI-driven tax policy simulations and participatory algorithmic design that balance efficiency and fairness. Ultimately, the AI technocracy succeeds not by replacing humans, but by amplifying human potential, freeing people from labor, inequality, and fear, allowing them to thrive in a truly post-scarcity world. Here are two examples of dystopian societies, beginning with a novel called Brave New World. It is a dystopian novel by Aldous Huxley, first published in 1932, set over 500 years in the future, in a technologically advanced society known as the World State. In this world, human beings are no longer born, but are artificially created in hatcheries and genetically engineered into a rigid caste system. Alphas, intellectual leaders, betas, gammas, deltas, and epsilons, menial laborers. From infancy, citizens are conditioned through sleep learning and psychological manipulation to accept their roles and embrace consumerism, promiscuity, and constant pleasure, achieved through a drug called soma, which induces euphoria and emotional detachment. The novel is a critique of technological utopianism, exploring themes of freedom versus stability, individuality versus conformity, and the cost of eliminating suffering. It stands as a foundational work of dystopian fiction, a world where control is achieved not through fear, but through pleasure and distraction. In stark contrast is George Orwell's famous novel 1984, which envisions a socialist dystopian controlled state based on fear and oppression. Published on June 8, 1949, by Secker and Warburg. Written while Orwell was seriously ill with tuberculosis, the novel is considered his most famous work and a seminal piece of political fiction. Society is heavily controlled, and the state controls news narratives, education, and has hive mentality. No one owns private property and is under constant supervision and surveillance that is called Big Brother. History is erased, and only what Big Brother wants the public to know is allowed. This story is a mirror of the former Soviet Union and is very reminiscent of modern-day China. And if the world is not careful, AI could lead the world down this same path. Much of this came close to home when COVID-19 took place. Yes, there was a lot of disinformation, but the same news and government outlets were guilty of the same things they said about alternative media sources, just like in the 1984 novel, where the truth was suppressed down what the novel described as down the memory hole. This is the razor-thin line between the idea of utopia versus dystopia. Is it really a thin line, or really just the other side of the same coin? Act 4. The Last Witness. Humanity on Trial.
Act 4, The Last Witness, Humanity on Trial. We stand at a threshold, not just as a nation or a civilization, but as the only known bearers of meaning in a galaxy of 400 billion stars. And perhaps across the cosmos, we are alone in our capacity to wonder, to create, to fear, and to hope. The future is not written. It branches before us, one path shadowed by collapse, the other illuminated by transcendence. On one side, the silence of extinction, a world fractured by greed, ideology, and short-sightedness. Systems unravel, nations clash over dwindling resources, and artificial intelligence, unguided by wisdom, amplifies our worst instincts. And one day the lights go out, not with a bang, but with a whimper, a flicker in the cosmic dark, unnoticed, unremembered. The universe continues, indifferent. But there is another path, one where we rise, not as conquerors, but as stewards, where a global consciousness emerges, not through force, but through shared understanding. A world government not of domination, but of cooperation, born from the realization that we are all crew on the same fragile spacecraft, orbiting a quiet star in an unremarkable corner of the Milky Way. We are in our infancy, but if we survive our technological adolescence, if we master energy, ethics, and empathy, we may ascend. Imagine it. Humanity, no longer bound by biology, minds expanded through neural integration, bodies adapted to the vacuum, the stars. Humanity is still just emerging from a dark past. Will humanity reach the next step, or will we fail and go back into the abyss? And if humanity does reach the next step,
Thank you both
will
so
it be
much.
used for good or for evil?
Of course, it was our pleasure.
Or become unintentional consequences like opening a can of worms? Something that grows out of control like a disease or a cancer? Not by magic, but by physics, by intelligence. Will this be utopia? Perhaps. Not fantasy, only choice. But if perfection is possible, what does it cost us to achieve it?